Hey, what's up, lowlights? Welcome to another episode of Highlights and Lowlights, where we take a look at the ups and downs, the best and worst, the highlights and lowlights of each Bills game. I am your host, Lowlife Daniel, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the Bills' dominant 38-10 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, there's a lot of good to talk about in a game like this, and I'm going to get to it. Trust me, we're going to get to it, but I'm going to start off with a lowlight because the game started off with a lowlight. And that low light is for the Bills' defense on the first drive. On the Raiders' first drive, they were able to just score, and it was pretty easy. 5 plays, 75 yards, just big play after big play after big play in end zone, just like that. It was so easy for them. I was at the game, and it just sucked the life out of the building. It was like they just went down and scored in 3 minutes. What just happened? We're already 0-1. What is going on? And I have to give a low light to the Bills' offense on the first drive. Already 0-1. Defense just gave up a touchdown. How do the Bills come out and respond? Run. Nothing open for Josh Allen. He runs out of bounds. 3 and out on the Bills' first drive. And they started booing. It's like, we're out of sync. Maybe this team's taking a step back. Things that the media was starting to say was creeping in a little bit. Is it over? There's no way to not think that. Quarterback is the most important and most scrutinized position in all of sports. When you win, you get all the credit, but when you lose, you're the first one they blame. Now, last week, Josh Allen had a bad game, but I saw a lot of people criticizing and saying he's a bad quarterback, and that's just not true. But, it's a really hard job in the media to talk about things right after they happen. You can't really take what they say as fact, but you can take notes, and I always keep receipts. If you've seen how I start my highlight videos some years, it's with something that somebody said, either encouraging or discouraging about the Bills. And if you haven't seen it, check out my hype video for this season because it uses something that somebody said in the media, and I'll link it at the end of the video. I'm glad Josh Allen was able to bounce back this week, and that's why he's getting a highlight. Josh Allen went 31 of 37, completing at a high percentage, throwing for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, and most importantly, no turnovers. Josh Allen just played a smart game, took what the defense gave him, and just was making the right plays, minus a couple hiccups here and there. Josh Allen just did what he had to do. He took care of the football, made the smart decisions, and got everybody involved. That's why I want to give a highlight to the Bills' pass catchers. Josh Allen completed a pass to 9 different receivers. 5 of them had 3 or more catches. Last week, I wanted the Bills' pass catchers to step up because I felt like Diggs didn't have any help. And this week, everybody stepped up. Obviously, Gabe Davis had a huge day. 6 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown. That's what we needed to see out of our wide receiver 2. He's in a contract year. And I'm expecting, if he plays like this, he's definitely going to be around for a while. I just really like what I'm seeing out of Dalton Kincaid so far. He had 5 catches this game. He's just proven to be reliable. And he's going to be a big part of this offense. And Khalil Shakir stepped up. After the Bills drafted Kincaid, brought in Hardy, brought in Sherfield, we knew he's gonna have less of a role. But when his name's called, he made a play. He had 1 catch. It was for a touchdown. I've always liked Shakir. I feel like he could be a really good slot for us, and he can also play on the outside. So hopefully he gets more opportunities, but he just has to keep making the most of the ones he gets. And obviously Stephon Diggs, 7 targets, 7 catches, 66 yards. Just a number 1 receiver, just solid, reliable. You don't have to worry about anything with him. He's going to get his. And this just seems like a natural transition. I'm going to give a low light to Tre'Davious White. I've been kind of holding my tongue, holding judgment, just waiting to see, but I just don't quite think he's back coming off of tearing his ACL almost 2 years ago. He's still... I'm not going to say it's not the same guy, but Tre'Davious White would be able to take the team's number 1 receiver out of the game completely, wouldn't even be a factor. In the last couple weeks, and taking nothing away from Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, they're amazing receivers, but they've been able to get whatever they want against Tre'Davious. He's allowed touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, and though, again, amazing catch by Garrett Wilson, then the Davante Adams touchdown was on a screen, and he was kind of taken out of the play. It's just the last 2 weeks he's given up 2 touchdowns, and it's not going to get any easier because we've got Terry McLaurin next week. Then we've got Miami, so Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. He's got Calvin Ridley on the schedule, Jamar Chase. There's going to be a lot of elite receivers. I'm a little nervous. I just don't quite think Tre'Davious White is back at the elite status that he was before the injury. It's a low light, but it's also something to just keep an eye on for the rest of the season. And I don't quite know if this is a low light, but just along the same level, just something to keep an eye on this year. I really feel like our secondary is starting to lose a step. Poyer played through a lot of injuries last year, and I appreciate that. He's tough. He drove himself to a game because the Bills wouldn't let him fly. I was sitting at 300, so I kind of just had like all 22. I was able to look down and like watch everything going on, and they just seemed a step slow a little bit. Poyer more than Hyde, but then Hyde had some type of injury towards the end of the game and then never came back. But they put the backups in anyway, so he probably wouldn't have played. But it's just something to keep an eye on. I feel like our secondary, Hyde's 32, Poyer's 32, but our secondary is looking a little slow, and they're definitely going to be tested in the next coming weeks. Like I said, we've got Miami coming up. We can't look slow against Miami. They've got Hill and Waddle. Like, that's going to be a real test. Again, not a low light, just something to keep your eye on. Definite highlight to the Bills running backs. Like, how good is it to have a run game that's not just Josh Allen? James Cook had an amazing game. He had 17 carries, 124 yards. He got involved in the passing game. I want to say he had 4 catches. James Cook is looking like a real number one, like we made the right choice. You know, I love seeing him have a bigger role in this offense. And then when we need a change of pace, Latavius Murray. I love Latavius Murray as a power back, you know, in short yardage, goal line situations. Damian Harris had 7 rushes. He had a touchdown and had that huge kick return as well. 40-something yards, gave the Bills great field position. Just a great day for all the Bills running backs, averaged over 5 yards a carry. None of that would be possible without the Bills offensive line. I gave them a low light last week. I'm going to give them a highlight this week. The Bills offensive line just dominated the Raiders defensive line. You didn't hear much from Max Crosby. Shout out to Spencer Brown. I know that's a tough matchup. That's one of the NFL's best pass rushers. The Bills only allowed 2 sacks, but they weren't to the defensive line. They were from linebackers on blitzes. On the other end of the spectrum, I'm going to give a low light to the Bills' defensive line just for their pass rush. They didn't come away with any sacks. Garoppolo didn't throw for more yards than Josh Allen, but he did throw for more yards per attempt, and that's mostly because he just had so much time back there. Even though they didn't come away with a sack and finish plays off, they did create a lot of pressure, make things hard for him at times, and tipped a couple passes down, including one that ended up in an interception by Terrell Bernard. The highlight is obviously going out to the Bills linebackers. Terrell Bernard, we didn't see much of him in the preseason, but he was declared the starting middle linebacker, and, you know, people were concerned. They didn't know what to expect, but last week he led the team in tackles. He didn't really wow me, so I didn't give him a highlight for that, but he did lead the team in tackles last week. This week he came away with an interception here. Just when his name's called, he's just doing what he has to do, making the right plays. And he's proven he deserves to be out there. And then Matt Milano just coming away with a crazy interception. Just mossing Josh Jacobs, just taking it from over the top of him and just, that play had everybody hyped. That play was incredible. Milano's just continuing to play at an all-pro level. I'd like to see more out of the pass rush, but the Bills' defense overall is going to get a highlight. They allowed only 10 points. Last week, they allowed 16. I'm not counting that punt return against them. 2 interceptions, like I was just talking about, and a fumble recovery. The Bills' defense was just dominant. The Bills' defense had to go up against Josh Jacobs, who led the NFL in rushing last year with over 1,600 yards. The Bills' defense held him to -2. 9 rushes, -2 yards. All right, I did offense, I did defense, special teams. Tyler Bass gets a highlight. 5 for 5 on all of his extra points. 1 field goal attempt, he made it. It's a highlight. He's consistent. The Bills put him out there, they get points. Oh, Bills fans, this isn't a low light or anything. Bills fans booed when Tyler Bass went out for a field goal on 4th down. McDermott called a timeout because you guys are booing, and then we went for it. We ended up scoring a touchdown, but we were up 11. A field goal would have made it 14. We go up by 18 instead. I love touchdowns as much as you guys, but it's not that serious. Just trust your coach sometimes. Maybe I could have given a highlight to Ken Dorsey. His play calling was a lot better this week, but it is still a little questionable. That 3rd and 4th and goal, like, you were in shotgun on both plays. You threw it on 4th down. You got Josh Allen. Like, what are you doing? Josh Allen right up the middle, QB sneak on 3rd down. Doesn't work. Do it on 4th down with a little push. A great game, but just he has questionable moments. So I couldn't give him a highlight. But if you wanted to, go ahead and do so. If there's anybody you want to give a highlight to that you don't think is getting enough credit, go ahead and give him a highlight. If there's somebody you don't want to let off the hook even after a win like this, give him a low light. I don't really know how to end this video. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, good win. We play Washington next week. I feel pretty good about that, but the enemy is an offensive genius, so you can't take them lightly. I don't really know what to say, so I'm just going to leave you guys with some of the footage, some of the photos from my experience at the game. I didn't really get a lot, so I'm not going to make a whole vlog out of it. I'll just put it here in the outro. Until next week, stay low. Shout out to Section 311. Y'all had it lit all game. There was a little kid near me. He really knew so much about football, and he kept saying Joshua for Josh Allen every time. It was hilarious. It was a perfect seat. It was like right at the 50-yard line, but you could see everything because it was so high up. It was just a great section. The ushers and like the guest service people were real friendly, and they like knew everybody from that section. Like 311 was where it was at. It was lit. Where else would you rather be? Am I right?